Hello, this is Patricia Pedicolis from Perfectly Clear, and I am here with Levi Sims to welcome you to our Clear QuickDesk webinar, where we will explain to you how you can optimize your corrections and your workflow with our batch processing. So how are we ready to roll on this, Levi?
We're ready. Yeah, everybody's
Okay,
tuning in.
excellent.
Let's give them just a second. It looks like as they're allowed to enter, they are entering quickly. So
Yes, that's great. And we would like to let you know that we do have a special offer for those of you who are tuning in. If you purchase QuickDesk from now until the end of the month, you will get a 15% discount on your annual subscription. And the code for that, well, I believe we'll be emailing you that code, but just in case, is Quick15, which will give you a 15% off on your annual subscription. Anyway, so how are we doing?
we're
Yes, that's
good.
me.
We're doing well. And as everybody tunes in, please note that at the bottom of your screen you can activate the chat. And in the chat, you'll see that's a good place to say hello, like Patricia One has done. And it's also a good spot to make comments about my crooked bow tie or whatever. But if
Your
you
bow
have
ties okay.
if you have specific questions, please also click on the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen and leave us a question in there. That way it doesn't disappear up the flow of the chat as we go. And we would love to answer your questions specifically. So if we're doing a demonstration of anything and you've got a question, please pop it in there and we will pick it up. So
Okay, so I think we're going to start with Levi, who is a photographer, and he can show you and how to use our corrections. And it's very interesting, even if you're a lab, because when you want to go in and tweak a preset, he will give you some good guidelines of how to approach that. So whenever you're ready, Levi, if you want to take it from
thanks.
there.
I will share my screen with everybody here. And I'm going to, there we go, open up a folder of pictures to work on this whole folder here. And I'm just going to leave these as set right now. Patricia's going to discuss this with you in a few minutes, but I just want to show you real quickly how I use the tools in QuickDesk to quickly finish my pictures. I just want to open them. Thank you. And it helps me finish my portraits. It helps me finish my vacation pictures, my landscapes. And I think well, I know it's just the fastest way to get stuff done. For instance, let's take a look at this picture of Dennis here. And I made this picture yesterday just outside, and we want to retouch it really quickly. And so the way I usually start is I've got a preset that I call zeroed. And the presets are really handy because once I've got several, let me start over. Once I can use the presets that are included with QuickDesk, but I can also tweak them and create my own presets. And if I was a lab doing this, maybe I would tweak a preset to match the style of a photographer whom I work with all the time, or for a specific kind of photograph. Like they're kind of general, the presets that come in that are included with QuickDesk. And so you can tweak them and then rename them so that you know exactly when to use this kind of a preset. So let me show you how I use the tools starting from no effect applied. You can see the before and after here. There's no difference. And I'll go in and make some adjustments to it. I'm just going to start with the tone and activate the exposure button here. And whenever you activate exposure, you should also activate depth. And using the quick buttons here, these are automatic adjustments, so it won't always go to the same setting when you click the medium, the low, or the high. What it's doing is intelligently analyzing the whole photograph and then applying the right amount of exposure adjustment for this picture. And so even though it's set to low, it doesn't always go to the 50 marker. Sometimes it goes to 0, sometimes it goes to 12. It's intelligently looking at each picture. So I trust it a lot because it doesn't just put a blanket adjustment on all of my photographs. But whenever you do exposure, I recommend always adjusting the depth as well. And I like to add quite a bit of depth typically. Depth it brings contrast back into the photograph. And there's the high contrast setting and the high definition setting. And I don't have a formula for which one is better. I just click on either one. And today I like the high contrast better on this photograph. Often I find that in the studio, I like the high definition better, but maybe that's because I've shot a more contrasty looking photograph anyway. And so always use depth with exposure. Black point is a little different than you may be thinking of from other tools called black point that you've worked with. It's basically just deepening like darkening the dark areas of the photograph and increasing what you would consider the black areas. If you can see my histogram up there, and I'm not positive you can, my face may be obscuring it, and I'm afraid I can't change that, but you'll see that as I, set that one back. As I increase the black point, you'll see that the histogram shifts to the left slightly. Now, something incredible about Perfectly Clear, the adjustments in QuickDesk that are part of Perfectly Clear as well here, it will never blow out the highlights, and it will never, and it usually reclaims them as well. So you can see that when I photograph this area is clipped. The red areas there are clipped. But even as I increase the brightness all the way up, it'll never increase that clipping. Excuse me. So like a bride's white dress is never going to be blown out because of the adjustments Perfectly Clear makes. And to me, that's really powerful because I can trust it in a preset situation and apply it to a whole batch of photographs and not be concerned that it's going to ruin my pictures. I don't know if I can stress that more, but I sure like that feature of it. Coming down here, skin depth and bias is another, let me turn off that clipping warning on the histogram, is some more depth. And I usually do it last because it desaturates the skin tones a little bit, and I don't always need that. So I'm going to deactivate it for now, and we'll come back to it. Light diffusion is a cool tool. It helps to ease the transition between the highlight and dark areas. But if you use it, it kind of flattens the image as well. And so unless I've got really shiny highlights on cheeks and things, I don't usually need to activate that one. Down in color, there's some fun tools in here too. Like fidelity is really cool, and the tint correction. Let's start with tint correction. And it, like you'll see here, it says tint has been detected, and I hope that's coming through, but he's quite a lot warmer, oranger colored here. And then when you activate the tint correction, it reduces that warm tone, and that's changeable. I usually use the default setting, and here it's so slight, I think at default it's not even doing anything. And so I don't need to worry about it. And anyway, I like the warmth of this photograph right now. Fidelity is intended to bring back the richer tones in purples and blues, but it ends up also doing a very interesting job on greens. And I'll show you that. I think we'll do that in a landscape photograph to see that a little more powerfully. Down here, sky enhance and foliage enhance give us some more controls to affect the red, green, and blue colors with some lookup tables applied. And we'll try those again, as I said, on some landscape photos. Let's go down to the face selection. So it's already recognized a face, and when you click the show and adjust control points, it shows you where it thinks the eyes are. This is typically very good. I would say 9 out of 10 photographs, I don't ever need to adjust the eye position. Like it showed up over here initially, when I position that back in the center of the eye opening, then it gives me a little bit more precision when I'm doing the eye and face adjustments. For instance, when we do the dark circles, which reduces the impact of the dark circles under the eyes, if I have those eyes placed in the wrong spot, then you'll see that shadow is being removed from the cheeks instead of under the eyes. So occasionally I need to reposition these. and I might raise them a little bit in the in the opening of the eyes. You don't necessarily need to put it over the pupil. It's more the eye opening is the key positioning for those. And and sometimes raising it up will just position the effect a little bit better on the dark circles under people's eyes. And then go easy with it. Like if we turn this all the way up to 100%, we can completely eliminate those lines, which makes the person appear unlike themselves. And so be gentle with this one, but it is a powerful way to just mitigate the impact of the dark circles under the eyes. There's there's before and here's after with that one. And I think for my work, this button alone is worth the cost of the software. But then also the eye enhance is very good and gives a little sharpness and slight brightness to the eyes without being overpowering. And I don't have to add anything to it. I haven't had to paint on the eyes or anything. Now the face is super powerful too. We can use the face contouring to pull in the jawline a little bit. There's before and there's after. And this is on a slider. Don't go crazy with it. I know people who would like that, but I refuse to do that for my clients. But something down around 30% is almost unnoticeable, but your clients will just feel like $1,000,000 when you show it to them, and they'll be like, "Man, I did look good that day." And their best friends won't say, "Wow, who did your retouching?" They'll just say, "Sheesh, you did look good that day." Teeth whitening is very good, and I'll show you on the next picture in this sequence how that applies. And so I've got it turned on, even though there's no teeth showing in this photo. It's going to work when I apply these settings to the next photo. And the default setting for teeth whitening is 50, and you may have to go a little bit higher than that, but you don't want to go crazy. You don't want to see the teeth before you see the eyes in the photograph. How am I doing, Patricia?
You're
Is this
doing
okay?
great. Yeah, it's
Okay,
great.
terrific. I just want to move along so we can show you lots of pictures here. In the skin retouching area, this is so powerful. The perfectly smooth, I typically use this to adjust the fine details in my subject's skin. If I turn that up too high, then it becomes very plastic looking. And also, in a situation like this, I want to say face only, because if they're wearing a buff colored shirt or something that's a skin tone, it may try to smooth out the details in the clothes as well as the face. And when we come down to the infrared removal, we definitely only want it applying to the face in a picture like this where he's wearing a red sweatshirt. If we've got it on full body, then the infrared removal will remove some of the redness from his sweatshirt too. So don't go too crazy with it. Personally, I'm typically under 20, but there have been instances when turning it up a little more was okay. But I don't like my photo to look like I've been retouching the skin. But and you'll have to play with this one on your own computer. But have a look at what we're getting in his forehead up here. It's removing some of the the detail from being, you know, a guy who's been working in the sun all his life. And so it mitigates the impact of that detail so that we don't see it when we see the person. The blemish removal is for more coarse details. And the higher you turn that, the more things like the liver spots and the scrape on his head up here are being affected. Now, you should be gentle with this too. No matter how high you turn it, it's not going to remove a mole or a really big zit, because moles shouldn't be removed automatically. We need to be careful with things like that. And so it will not completely remove really big zits either, but it does do a great job of removing a lot of the coarse details and the very fine lines in the skin. So if you can see that, here's before and after. And I'll just move it slowly across and look at his forehead where the detail of the pores of his skin has been just reduced. And I like that. It doesn't look like I've had a heavy hand retouching, and I haven't spent a lot of time doing it either. Now, infrared is intended to because our cameras are capable of recording heat as light. Our subjects are often flushed in the face when they're in front of our camera because they're nervous, and that extra heat coming from their skin can be recorded as red in the picture. And so this infrared removal removes some of that redness from the skin without without like significantly changing the color of the skin and things. And it's pretty cool. Again, you start low, but it's also really powerful on rosacea in the nose and cheeks that you get. Um, I hope that's coming through. There's without, and here's with. And can you see that the area on his nose and forehead is getting less red? We'll go in closer again so you can see it better perhaps. It's powerful. If you get too high, then it removes too much red from the skin, and folks end up looking like they haven't had any sun all their lives. So be gentle with it, but it's a super powerful tool to use. The shine removal also can be really useful for highlight areas. Like if you look at his cheek over here, right along next to his eye and down to the corner of his mouth, there's a little bit of a highlight, and it is analyzing the picture and just removing that highlight. In this case, I don't want to do that. But when there's a shiny spot on a forehead or a cheek, that little slider can really save the day on helping reduce the sharp brightness from those highlights. So there's before and after. Now, since because of the way QuickDesk works, I can copy the settings from this picture. Just hit the copy button, and then click on the next one in the series and click paste, and see those settings applied automatically. And that's really cool. And of course, you'll probably have all the pictures of him in a row together. And I thought I was going to, but somehow I set this up with the somehow my pictures are showing up out of order in this file. So bear with me as we apply that.
Well, don't worry
And
about that. Maybe I'll explain
yeah,
I have that folder of faces that we can, and it's good to show
perfect.
them that they can also do the copy paste, because there might be times where you want to apply a certain correction to some people, and you can go through the folder and paste it onto those images that need that particular correction.
Right. Now here's a picture that's totally unrelated to those. But if I hit paste, man, it does a pretty good job
Mm.
just with those same settings of making Doug look good as well as Dennis. And if we bring them and paste them right here onto Travis too, not bad. Look at that. There's before and after. And so once I've got my settings tuned to how I like them, to the appropriate, like to what I feel is appropriate for my pictures, then I just come over here and hit the settings wheel and save it as a preset. And we'll save it as Dennis, which I think I already saved one as Dennis yesterday. So, but you just type in a name, you can choose an icon for it and hit save. And now that preset shows up over here in your own stuff, and you can launch QuickDesk with that preset already applied. Or for the landscapes or for the travel pictures, you can have those presets all ready to go. Any questions? I'll stop sharing a second, check in.
I'm seeing no questions, so I guess you've been explaining it very well.
All right.
Why don't you show us some landscapes, perhaps?
You betcha, because there's some powerful tools here. So here's that's a pretty good one. Let's see. I think I've got an even better one. And I think it's that one that's not showing up. Oh no, that's not that it. Yeah, let's do this rock here. So This picture may be a little dark, but it's got
Uh,
significant bright areas.
you're going to have to share it with us.
Oh, thank you. No, that's really good. One time I was
Although
doing
you
one of
look really
these.
good against the blue screen, but
Yeah. One time I was doing this and I went on for 15 minutes discussing my screen, but because I was alone, everyone was screaming at me in the chat that they couldn't see my screen,
oh
but I
dear.
couldn't see the chat. So thank you, Patricia.
Adventures in webinars.
Exactly. When I turn on exposure, oh, I love that. It brightens my picture up, but it's not blowing out those highlights in the water. You can see, here's the highlight clipping, and that's what was already in there. It's maintaining the integrity of those highlights. Oh, it's getting a little brighter than I thought it would, but but nothing
Now you
like a
are really pulling it
slider
out.
in other tools, right?
Yeah.
And then again, I want to activate depth because I used the exposure adjustment. And so when I bring on that depth, I get much more of the contrasty richness into the picture. And I think I want high contrast for this one. And I might even turn up the blacks a little bit. Yeah, something like that. And maybe a little more punch. There we go.
Yeah.
I like where that's going. Now let's check out some of the color tools again. Tint correction, maybe.
Yeah.
Let's see what it has to say. It says there's a tint, but I'm not seeing a strong effect at the default setting. If I turn it up, oh, now it says no tint detected. Okay, well, and I don't think there is either. Fidelity, however, should give me some more range of color in the greens in this rock. Yeah, there it is. It's given me a little more richness in the water. It's subtle in this one. What if I hit vivid? Yeah, the vivid's actually nice in this setting. I wouldn't use vivid on a person ever because it also includes some contrast adjustment. I would use the standard setting on a person's clothing, but you'll see that blues and greens and purples are really strongly affected by that fidelity button. And it seems to be kind of like the opposite of saturation. It makes the colors richer, but it also increases the color range. The saturation sliders, they'll take, when I've got orange and orange red and red orange and red, it'll take, when you increase saturation, it removes the in-between colors and you just end up with orange and red. The fidelity button is increasing that color range. I should have used blue and purple as the example because it's much better on the blue, purple, and green scale than on the it doesn't have hardly any effect on the red and oranges. And I should show not tell anyway. Let's scoot on down. let's grab the foliage enhance. And this one is, yeah, there it is. It's given me more brightness and punch in the greens in there, and I can choose different settings. And these are basically applying a lookup table of colors. And so there's very little adjustment to it, just the strength of it. But it's incredible how well these presets work. And this is a bad picture to demonstrate on. I'm just going to go to another picture.
All right. Well, no, I noticed that you brought in a lot more detail in the mossy rock with your the foliage enhance. I mean, there was a difference, but let's go find another one.
Yeah, let's find something with a little more distinct change to it here. And I thought I just brought in one of my favorites. Oh, there it is. Yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah, it's right there.
I think I killed it.
Oh dear.
I killed it.
What did you?
I think I've got something else open in here.
Well, I mean, if you want, I can pull up mine. I think I have some foliage if you wanted me to. help you with that.
Here it
Let me see.
comes.
Oh, good, good.
We'll get it. We'll get it real fast here. Sorry about that, gang.
It
Let's
happens.
see. Oh no, this is the right one. Um, yeah, open that folder. There we go. And let's grab this picture. You guys probably see lots of these photos from airplanes because everybody when they travel wants to make a great picture from their airplane. And so check out what we can do here. I'll turn on the exposure at the lowest setting, and it's not going to do anything yet, but as I increase the depth, we're going to see some really good contrast come back into it. Let's see if the high contrast is better. Nope, high definition is better this time. And it's like, I don't know why, but the high definition also seems to be more contrasty. So I like to choose one of those two. Let's see if we can get my black point up here a little bit. I am failing on my powerful demonstrations today.
Oh,
I just chose the wrong thing. No, actually, it's not looking bad.
I mean, you could toss a little color
There we
restorer.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, let's hit the color button. Fidelity. There we go. And a little tint correction.
That's nice.
Let's go default setting on that one and just increase it a little bit. There we go. Okay. Now my snow is looking white, and yeah, that's looking much better. Let's see if the foliage enhance is going to do anything for us here, or perhaps even the sky. It's a little strong. Let's try the cerulean. Since it's got so much blue to it, we'll use the sky enhance instead of the foliage. And that's kind of fun. Okay. Good. Should we go on to a noisy picture?
Yes, let's do a noisy picture.
Okay. Here's some noisy photograph. This is my old studio mate. I can't remember why I was photographing her at, I think it's like 2,500 or 25,000 ISO.
Wow.
But let's see what details can do for us with some noise reduction. It says noise has been detected, and yeah, it's a lot better. Can you see the color noise in there? Can you see the red, green,
Oh,
and
yeah.
blue dots in here? And so when I activate that noise button, that all goes away, and the skin looks much better. Let's try the portrait setting here. Oh, that's even
Oh,
better.
wow, that's beautiful.
There we go. And so just with those alone, yeah, that's a significant difference. And it's amazing on phone photos. People push their phones farther than they think they are, and when you come back in and use that noise reduction, they're going to like it. Yeah, and here's a good one for the green and blues again too, for that color fidelity. When I click that color button or the fidelity button, you'll see in her shirt right down here, also in the sky and a little bit in the bridge, you'll see the color become much richer. So that's cool. What are the other things I need to show here?
Oh, maybe a little, we haven't really gotten a good foliage enhance. Do you have any autumn scenes, or
I
there's like
do.
there's that desert thing that looks like it might like it.
Oh, that one might. It's also a super noisy photo, so let's try that first. Turn on some noise reduction. We'll turn on some.
Oh, and you've got a little sky
Oh,
enhance. Yeah, well, that you can do with this
yeah,
picture.
there's a lot we could do there, huh? Let's turn that on low. There we go. Little depth. Oh, wrong depth. Turn that one up. Switch to high contrast, maybe. Oh, it didn't turn up. Here we go. I think we're going to go with the high definition on this one.
Hmm.
And let's see about the foliage enhanced down here now. Excuse me. So since there's not much green, we can grab something like the goldenrod. That might have some effect. Yeah, they gave us a little bit of warmth down there. But in the mahogany, down here in this red one, is one for autumn. And let's turn that up a ways. Yeah, there we go. We get a little bit more range of color into those yellows. And while we're at it, we can hit the sky enhance. And this one's going to affect the blues in the picture. That's getting a little too strong. Let's try the blue sky royal. I like that color better.
Mm.
Let's grab a before and after. Yeah, that looks much nicer.
Yes.
Okay, good. I'll turn it over to you for a second while I dig up one more good picture that I thought I had in here.
Okay. So do we have any questions from anyone about the corrections that Levi has been showing us? I see no questions. Yeah, we're really doing well here.
All right.
So I'm going to share my screen and just give you a little quick information about the batch processing and some of the more nitty-gritty things. Here, hold me 1 second. Let me just, I don't know if you can see my things, but I have all kinds of menus that I'd rather not have there. So a few things, Levi, when he was explaining, he was showing the one-up view. That's good if you're like working on an individual image, but you can also load 6 images up at a time. Now, let's start with this screen. This is really useful for people who are, they have a workflow that they need to work with. You can specify what you want to do with your output files. You can specify what you would like with your original files. Some people are using ordering software like Rose or Photo Finale. And with Rose, it's better if you overwrite the original. So you can choose that with your output file to overwrite the original, and then you can create a folder relative to the input folder. So that would mean what ends up happening is the original files are overwritten in their location, in the original folder location, and the actual original files are put to a separate folder, so you can conserve the originals and you keep all of the data and information that you need for your output folder. Images, sorry about that. You can also specify a folder, which is what I usually do, where you want to go. And you can decide to just delete the original, leave it in the folder. You can, you have, as I said, various options. You can put the output file in the input folder, which may be useful. Another thing that we have, which can be helpful, we just started this with 36 pics, which is a green screen. If you have an account with them and you select this, when the images are processed, they will go to 36 pics for the green screen. With Rose, we also have a button that will help you set up. We have a good integration with Rose that you can set up while you're in the Rose software, but you can also set up the settings from this button. So it just, that will be like while you're in Rose and working on your images, you can go to Perfectly Clear for the corrections. Another thing that's important is you can choose your preset. As Levi said, if you have created a custom preset, then you would just pull down the preset group menu and choose your outdoor presets and then choose the one that you want. Usually we like to start with the essential presets with Intelligent Auto because it's good for overall portraits, landscapes. It's just a very conservative correction, so it's a good starting point, and we choose OK. We do have a raw editor, or you could process in Perfectly Clear, so you have that option there. And we'll just open, oh, I think I opened the wrong folder. Hold on, guys. We are just like clowns today, Levi.
Not too bad.
Here we go. This is the one I would
At
like.
least you're here to tell me when my screen share isn't working.
Yes, well, you do that for me too. We're a team. All right, so open my files. And I'm going to show you the 6-up view. So we have many viewing options. On the top row is like what you want your screen to show. Do you want it to be a single image? Do you want to have you can have this kind of situation. You can have the scroll the way Levi had it. But the nice thing about the 6-up view is you can quickly see the before and afters on the images. If you're happy with the corrections, you can save them and move on to the next page. And so when you save, those 6 images are processing, and then the next images are up for you to work on. Again, you've got your before and afters. If you feel that you need to work on an image individually, you can choose the 1-up view, and you can control the enlargement with your control plus and minus, just like most software. You can also do it here, and you'll see it's telling you the percentage of the enlargement. And also an interesting thing when you're in the 6-up view is you can lock the 6 images so that when you enlarge or decrease the enlargement, magnification, it does it to all of the images. So that's just a handy thing if you're looking at a bunch of images that are very similar and you want to just zoom in on, maybe a bunch of portraits. If you're happy with all of your corrections, you click Save All, and it will process every image in the folder rather quickly. I'm trying to think, what are the things that we want to cover besides that? We do have, I know that Levi was setting everything to 0, but sometimes it might be helpful for you to use different presets. I'm going to close this file and pull up a school folder just to show you how sometimes some of our presets can be helpful. For faces, you have a folder of all faces. We're going for intelligent auto for our default. So there's a couple of things that are interesting with this folder. Some problems that people have when they're doing the school photography is that the background varies. Now, there are many reasons for this. It could be, for example, if you have auto white balance, sometimes it's reading the things differently, so sometimes it's better for you to set the white balance manually. Also, if you're using a slow shutter speed, it'll be picking up the ambient light, and you'll see this especially in the shadows. So as you can see here, what we're finding is helpful with that is the tint correction. So let me pull up and you can see that will clean up that background quite nicely. And another thing is, again, I corrected this gentleman's background. I can go up and copy that and paste it to whoever I think needs that correction. Another thing I can do, I'm going to do this with a really extreme example. I'm going to make it look really wild. So let me just save these guys and go on to the next page. Let's say that I take this person and I use, we do have pre-processing. This is not perfectly clear corrections. These are just like hard corrections. So you can change, image ambulance is basically the exposure value. So it's just brightening the whole image. So it's going to be somewhat extreme. Let's say I wanted this for some reason. I can sync it to all of the other pictures in the folder, and it will apply that correction to everything. Let's say I wanted to bring this guy back to something normal. If I sync it, it will only correct what comes after and not the entire folder. So that's just something to bear in mind, that if you wanted to get these guys back to the way they have to go, you have to select her, apply whatever you wanted, and then sync. Okay.
And I like that because as a photographer, I photographed 15 people and then I bumped something on my camera and the next 15 people are too bright. And because I was just shooting. And so I like that kind of allows me to correct the problem going forward.
Yes, exactly. Now, another interesting thing to have a look at is I believe this guy's a good example of the color fidelity. If you can see his shirt here, let me just get over to.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, we were talking about him another day. You're going to get to know all of my guys, Levi, if we
That's
keep
right.
doing. So if we hit color fidelity, you can see that it's really bringing out the details in his shirt.
Like he's got vertical stripes in his
Yeah,
shirt.
yeah.
We
And
can
you
see
weren't
that.
seeing that as much. I mean, it's there when you turn it off, but it really brings a little richness when you put it back on. And again, we could do that. You're suggesting we don't go vivid with him, right? With
I
color.
usually don't, but check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, it does make it a little
It adds
bit.
contrast to the whole
Yeah,
photo.
it starts
Yeah.
like his face starts getting a little wild, and you can increase and decrease that if you find it's like a little too strong. All of our corrections can be controlled on the strength. Um, so another interesting thing is that we do have presets for eyes, for example. Let's say you just want to add like a good night's sleep. You can do that. Admittedly, it will take away the other correction. So we had like intelligent auto. So you'd have to go back and add that sort of thing manually, like any kind of tone that we lost or, that you would like to adjust.
Right. Start with a preset and then tweak it.
And then you can,
If
say,
you tweak
well,
first, then the preset is going to change all the sliders.
right. So you might want to add, just a little bit more here and maybe a little more contrast and all of these things. And then if you're going down to his face, all of those additional things that you would do that on this side. But yes, you can add, you can choose that preset. We do have presets for also for skin. Where are my skin presets? Here we go. So we have some for particularly for high school students because we know that they're going to want to have like a much more conservative correction to make the mom and dad happy. They don't want to be like total supermodel. Although if you wanted to go supermodel, uh, where's my supermodel?
Right towards the bottom, right at the bottom of the list right now.
Oh, okay, there she is. We can go there. So if you just see the difference between supermodel and high school female, you can see supermodel got like a little skin smoothing. She got her face narrowed. She got a little teeth whitening. A whole lot of
Right.
stuff happened there. So you do have these different options. We even have I believe we have teenagers. I feel like we have a child. I'm just not finding it. This is where I start to go, or maybe it's in, you know what, I think it's just in the eyes that we have the child. Gentle children. So if you want just a very, very gentle, well, I mean, she's not a child, obviously. You can add catch lights. We have various presets depending on what your situation is. Let's see, is there any other thing that we should bring up here? We have a little chat going on. Is there anything we need to address there?
Let's see. I was trying to find my chat. I can't.
Okay, I've got it.
Disappeared.
So, yeah, we do have someone who's asking us if we can give an example of how to restore an overexposed photo portrait, not landscape. So, Levi, do you have something like that? Or I do have one that would be with a color restore, but what would be do you have any suggestions on that, or shall I pull up mine?
I don't have one. Yeah, grab yours, and what we'll
Okay.
use is the image ambulance before the tone
Okay.
in the pre-processing area. While you pull that up, Steve Larson also asked when we're doing raw processing, is QuickDesk creating an XMP file? And no, because it's going to save a new photo for you, as whether as a JPEG or a TIFF, and so all the changes will be cooked into that, and it doesn't require an XMP file to travel with it. It's a ready to share file. Does that answer your question, Steve?
Um, I think you got an answer to that. Do you not have your chat?
Oh, I no, I'm trying to find my chat. I got exit full screen.
Oh,
Oh, here we go. There's my chat. Okay.
okay, yes, because, well, actually, we have another question from Patricia Juan that you may want to.
Oh, yes. So can we extend the face selection to include the neck when retouching? Yes. Just hit the full body instead of the face only, and it will include the neck.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. All right, I stand corrected. My faded image is in here, I believe.
I can fabricate one.
Hold on, just bear with us here as we try to find our problem images. Well, I have that little girl. I don't know if will she work for us, this one? Levi, oh, am I still? Am I
I
not
did
sharing
see
my
that.
screen?
You're still sharing, but yes, that's not. It's not
That's
bad.
not
It's
enough.
not
No,
very bad though.
I
Yeah.
had a better one. I don't know where she is. I'm really sorry. Uh,
Let me try this
oh,
one here.
okay.
I'll bring it.
Here, let me stop my share and I'll let you share. Let me see.
Sure.
Let me just see if this lady, before I let you have it, let me see if she will do it. Nah, she's pretty good. Okay, I'm going to stop my share and I'm going to hand it over to you.
Okay. I better turn on my share again.
Oh,
Haley sent us a
oh,
good one that was way overexposed. Yes, I didn't know if you wanted to share those um,
oh,
with
that's,
everyone.
yeah, she's cool on it. Let's get Haley's
Okay.
in there.
Absolutely. I think I've got that one in here. Let me open that folder. Yes. Let's see how we do on this one, Haley. Like this guy here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's see what we can do with the pre-processing. We'll turn on the image ambulance. I'm sharing my screen, right?
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. Um, Boy, so it's definitely bringing down the brightness to a much more controllable level in his skin, but it's also it's being gentle.
Mm.
Um, let's see. Let's see what happens when we come back to it in here now. Well, that's a lot better on him at least,
Right,
which is always the main thing. And the reason this is overexposed is because they were using an auto setting on the camera, and the camera sees his black suit and the black trees and tries to brighten the whole thing, which of course brightens his face too much. And so,
right.
yeah, as long as it's not clipped, the pre-processing can bring it back in pretty well. So, oops, not that one. Um, I don't, I don't, I don't know if going darker with that is getting us anything really great, but let's try brightening it a touch more and bringing up the depth a little bit, and then let's hit the tint correction. A little stronger than that. That's looking much better. What else would I do here? Man, it even recognized his face in the
I
overexposed.
know, that's pretty impressive.
It's pretty good. Um, yeah, is that better, Haley? Will your client accept that? I can't see the chat right now. Patricia, do you see it?
Oh, I do. Hold on a second. Let me tell you what we've got here. Uh, we would love to take the, actually, Haley would love to see all the ones that we sent if we have time. And
Oh,
she
sure.
thinks that our gentleman here is much better. So why don't we do that, since we did promise that we would show you about this.
Sure. Shall I show you these then?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So with this, I would well let's start with a preset from Perfectly Clear. I would just grab one of these, and I'd probably start with Beautify, knowing that I'm going to just turn off the face correction on children. But so there's the Beautify preset, and it is looking pretty good. Let's
Uh,
see how it did on the face selection there. Pretty bang on. Now, so with kids, their eyes are larger in relation to the bags under their eyes than adults. And so if I scoot these up a little bit, then it might have a stronger impact on the dark circle under his eyes there. Yeah. And in his case, I might turn that up a little bit. If I was doing this as a one by one thing, now you guys probably are not doing it as a one by one. sort of picture. Um, but if I grab this one and hit the same, the same preset again, and just hit the beautify, then it's looking not bad. I might go a little bit brighter on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll stick with the high contrast. You could even try the medium. Turn up the depth a little more. There we go. All right, looking pretty good. Now I want to make sure that we're not getting too much skin smoothing, which, because we use the beautify preset, it might be
Right. I was wondering about that
a
because you
little
said.
strong. Let's switch that to face only. There we go. I'm gonna turn off the infrared on her and turn off the blemish removal and bring the smoothing way down to like 12. Yeah. So there's the before and after on her. When we're getting close, we can make sure that there's not too much retouching happening here. And it's not bad. Now this one's a little bit noisy, so I'm gonna check the details.
Let's see if
See what
it's
it has to
sound
say.
noise.
Yeah, it says noise has been detected. Let's turn that on. Oh yeah, that's much better. If you can see, well, let's put that away and I'll show you the before and after. But let's switch it to the portrait setting, which is a little more subtle, and probably turn down the strength a bit. And I'm going to turn down the sharpening as well. The sharpening in this case is sharpening some of the noise too and making it stand out a bit more. So there's without the noise reduction, and there's with it.
Mm-hmm.
Her skin is much less noisy. Of course, it also reduces the detail in her hair a little bit. So that's a choice you just have to make for yourself. But personally, I like the no noise in the skin and less concerned about the hair, I think. Oh, this is a great one. Yeah, just setting it, just turning on the exposure does the trick there. Turn on a little depth. High contrast looks better. And then let's do, I might check the tint correction. Yeah, it's reducing some of the, there's a little tint to the background in there, and it's helping with that a bit. I might check the fidelity as well, just for the colors in her shirt. Nah, it's too contrasty, but I'm going to brighten it some more, I think, too.
Oh, that's nice.
There we go. And then bring on a little more depth. That's good. There's before and after. And then let's check her dark circles a touch. A little less than that. And I feel like I might need to adjust the position of those eyes just a touch. And then hit the eye enhance as well. Oh, turn that off. There we go. And gosh, she's got pretty great skin. So just a smidge of the perfectly smooth might be all I need to do. Maybe blemish removal. If I hit the blemish removal, it's definitely removing some of the detail in her chin and forehead, but we don't need quite that
Well,
much.
she's got pretty good skin. I don't know if
She
you need.
does. She does. So not a whole lot needed there. Her teeth are white, but if we turn that on, they get whiter.
Yeah.
They get brighter, rather. And so personally, I wouldn't turn it on for her. I don't think it's necessary. Um, is that impactful enough?
I think it's great. It really brought out her hair.
Yeah. And now let's try copying those settings and pasting them on this gal who seems to be in the same shoot. Now, part of the problem with this one is that the camera's focus feature was set on auto as well, and it focused on the stripes on her sweater, and so her face is a little bit out of focus, which is too bad. Nonetheless, we're getting a little better punch out of that, and also touching up her skin a bit. Now, she's got glasses on, and sometimes that fools, the the face detection. So we're going to manually add the eye spots. It says click the left eye, then click the right eye. It doesn't really mean click the left eye and then the right eye. It means click on the left side and then click on the right side. If we do it the opposite of that, oops. If you click this way, then if you put on the left eye like it seems to me to be saying, and then put on the right eye, it's going to add the face upside down, and you'll be removing the eyebrows instead of the dark circles under the eyes. So let's do that. Apply. There we go. And now the dark circles are being affected. And before and after with the dark circles. Touching those up a bit. Unfortunately, our photographer got a little too much glare in the glasses with the position of their lights. But we might try a little bit more of the depth up here and see if it doesn't increase that contrast just enough. It's not bad.
That's looking good.
Yeah, as like I was saying, her face is out of focus, and so that's part of the problem in this picture. I could take a look with the sharpening and see if that does anything beneficial for us, but oh, that's the noise. I don't know that it will. I don't think it's going to help in this case. Whereas the stripes on her shirt are nice and
tack sharp. They're perfect.
Yeah, they're tack sharp. And I've been there, man. I've done that a lot. My client still likes the picture, but I can't bear to look at it.
Yes.
So those are good. Let's skip over to this one. This is a good one, and this would be an appropriate one to try that. Excuse me. The beautify on, because it's going to retouch the skin a little bit automatically. We do want to make sure that we're not, let's do a little more of the dark circles, that we're not slimming the face with the face contouring unless we've got permission to do that. And let's check out where the eyes are being positioned here. There we go. Yeah, that's better. And sometimes the face contouring will work better after you reposition the eyes. And sometimes the face contouring doesn't work at all. And so, oh, it worked a little bit. I thought it was going to be one of those instances where it doesn't work at all. You gotta check with people before you do that one sometimes. Let's come down to the skin. We'll turn up the blemish removal, turn off the infrared for a minute. And yeah, the blemish removal is doing a lot to reduce the impact of the pimples. But like I say, with the big stuff, it doesn't remove them completely. So there's the before and after. I drag that slowly so everybody can see it clearly. I mean, that does wonders
really nice.
for her cheeks for sure. Now I would, like, if it was my client, I would still go in and with a tool in Lightroom or Photoshop touch up some of the big ones. But especially for proofs, I'm done. Now I'm ready to show the client, and they will tell me which pictures they want me to go in and put my final touch on. So I'm going to copy her settings, and we'll paste them onto this gal. Let's see how we do there.
Oh, actually, we have a request if you could skip
Yes.
past the next few and do one of the Hawaiian kids, which I guess I'm not sure which ones they are.
Which might be, she looks a little bit more like an islander.
Yeah.
Let's try that one. Now, okay, good. So that's looking pretty good. Let's check the eyeballs. Looks all right. as far as where the dark circles are being applied and things. Don't want to go too heavy. And with the smoothing, yeah, the blemish
So wait,
removal.
now did you apply a preset to her before you started this, or are you just going through?
I copied the same settings from
Oh,
the
right,
first.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should I start fresh?
No, no, it's fine. I think that's
Better.
good. I think it's good to that they can see this.
Yeah. So look at her forehead, and it just mitigates the impact of all those pimples. And then shine removal might be a good tool in this case as well. As with so many things, if you crank it all the way up and then bring it back, it can be easier to get it in the right spot.
Okay.
There's without shine removal, and there's with the shine removal. I might go just a little less. And then I might also turn up the exposure slightly. I think I've got too much of the dark circles applied here too. There we go. How's that? Is
I
that
think it's
useful? Okay.
all right. So I'm not sure if we were supposed to be at the previous one. Uh, you're on them now. Oh well, let's see what this guy is like. I
Yeah.
mean, we're in the home stretch here. There.
We're in the home stretch. Okay.
This kid's good. Look at him.
Yeah, no, he's typical. So let's give him a little
Oh,
bit
we
of
also have a
brightness.
question before we jump in on this.
Uh-huh.
So Patricia would like to know if there is a history brush to undo some of the effects. Now we do have an undo.
Yeah, you
Um,
can undo, but there's no local brush. That's the power of QuickDesk, is that I do not touch things manually. Besides that face locator sometimes, because it, like, if there's a brush, then you're gonna end up brushing everything.
right, that's true.
If you'll take my advice on this, it's better without it. Um, so no, there's not. Now they're going to run this through something to get the green off anyway, um, and so when I'm doing the manual touch-ups on the skin, um, I'll be in a tool that probably has something to do that, like Photoshop. Let's turn on a little dark circles, a little bit of eye enhance, and teeth whitening, maybe a touch, and then down to perfectly smooth and blemish removal. Let's start with the smooth off and turn up the blemish removal. We'll get in close on him here too. All right, that should be filling your screen pretty nicely.
Yes.
All right, let's turn that up, and here's without it. Do you see that the edges, like, it's just reducing the contrast of each of those pimples, and so it makes it, for one thing, it makes it a lot easier to retouch with a brush in another tool. Let's try a little shine removal too. Yeah, that's going to make it much better.
Oh yeah, it does improve it a great deal.
Now, if I use the infrared, it might remove some of the edges of those pimples as well. It removes the redness around the edges.
Hmm.
But I want to be careful that I don't remove too much tone from his skin too. See, it tends to desaturate the skin a little bit the higher I get. But right down there, it might be useful. Yeah, I think I would turn it on here because it's just removing some of the redness from his cheeks, from the edges of the pimples. Is that helpful?
That looks pretty good to me.
It is. It is a whole lot better. I looked like this kid,
Oh,
and I wish. I mean, My photographer charged me $3 a pimple,
Oh, wow.
and I don't have any of those senior pictures showing. I can tell you that.
Yeah, well, you've come around. It's all better now. So hopefully this kid will grow out of it too.
It tends to happen, you know.
Oh yeah, it's hard to be a teenager. Okay, so Haley has thanked us for that. That was very helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so actually, I think we're kind of getting to the end of this.
Yeah.
You want
If
to?
there's no more questions, let me
I
stop my share.
I think we've gotten all of our questions. Another thing with undoing things that you've done, if you've put like a preset and you've been tweaking it and you're like, ah, this looks terrible, you can always go back to a preset and sort of like zero out and start over again. Just to keep that in mind.
Exactly.
It's not like an organized, orderly step backwards, but you can get back to something that's like overall looking good and start fresh if it gets like crazy. All right, so thank you all for coming, and do remember that we have the 15% discount on QuickDesk for the year if you purchase it until the end of November, and that is the Quick 15 code. And as I said, thank you for joining us. I hope this was helpful, and we look forward to seeing you at another webinar. So if that's the end of that, we'll just like say goodbye. All right,
Goodbye.
bye. Take care, everyone.